All right, Miles, let's talk about the New Orleans Saints here. This is a team that's been in the news this offseason for a lot of the right reasons. They made a lot of upgrades to their roster. They made a lot of changes in the coaching staff department as well, adding in some key pieces under the radar. And the Saints aren't done making huge moves. There's another sneaky good move that I think slid under the news radar that I think will be huge for the Saints come 2023.
Yeah, Nick, this story that you found is really, really great. I think it just shows how committed the Saints are to taking this team to the next level. I think it's going to be a great move for them for now and in the future. But Saints fans, we talk about now, talk about the future. Let's talk about the past for a second here. Talk about Saints legendary players in the past, or really any Saints player of the past. I want to know today in the comment section below, if who would you want to go out and share a meal with, have a drink with? What Saints player from throughout history do you think would be the most interesting to sit down with and just have a drink, have a meal with, and talk football? Go over the best moments throughout Saints history with. Let us know that in the comment section below. But Nick, let's get on into it. What is the great news for the New Orleans Saints?
Miles, I always look for teams, especially when they're looking to take the next step, like you alluded to add and some key brain power in some positions around the fringes, because those can really make a big difference. And we're going to talk about one move the Saints made that I think will have a big impact. If you want to go ahead and throw this up, Miles, this is from SI.com. Directly from the report, the Saints have hired a director of analytics, according to ESPN's Seth Walder. New Orleans is reportedly hiring Zach Stewart from the Jets, who had been with the team since 2020. He was the coordinator of football analytics with New York. Analytics have played a bigger part of the game for quite some time and will only get bigger. The Saints had parted ways with Ryan Herman back at the end of May, who spent 6 years with the team. Sean Payton was a big supporter of analytics, and it's possibly an area where Dennis Allen wants to grow more with fresh ideas and more informed data. And I think that last part right there, more informed data and some fresh ideas, I think that's what really matters, Miles, because the Saints really need to take a more analytical approach. They took kind of an opposite to that last season, and I think it really hurt them. And let me give you an example why. Miles, if you can go on to our second graphic there, this is from Warren Sharp over at Sharp Analytics. And this is a lot of data, a lot of information thrown up on the screen. But you can see the Saints around the bottom third area, New Orleans Saints. And the thing I want to focus on there is that the Saints only went for it on fourth down inside field goal range 6 times over the course of the entire season. That is not going to get it done. You look at the best teams in football, they go around 10, 12, 15, 17 times. Stewart with the Jets, with their terrible quarterback situation, went for it on fourth down about 15 times. That's what smart teams do. That's what the analytics says most of the time. Obviously, there's going to be a few exceptions depending on the score and time and down and distance and things like that. But the better teams are more aggressive. They use analytics to drive this approach. And I think that's where the Jets are going to. In fact, if you look at fourth down and go for it percentage overall, the New Orleans Saints ranked 27th in the NFL last year. I think a lot of that maybe because they didn't feel as confident in the quarterback position as they will in Derek Carr this year. That could play a role into it. But I think having Stewart into the fold and having more of an analytical approach to the situation will be huge for the Saints, because as we all are aware at this point, you can leave a lot of points on the board if you don't go for it in certain situations and you have to settle for field goals. There's usually those mistakes usually tend to bite you, especially against the good teams, which of course the Saints are trying to go back to becoming a playoff team and win their division. But all right, Miles, I'll throw it back over to you now. What do you think of this addition by the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, Nick, I think this is a big one because if you go throughout the last 3 or so years with the Saints, you're going to see a lot of close games, whether it's the regular season, whether it's playoffs. There's a lot of nail biter decisions. And I think today's NFL is all about squeezing that extra little juice out of a team that you can. And analytics are the new wave. We see smart teams all over the NFL using this. I think these are the moves, the decisions, and really tight moments that can maybe take you from losing by 1 point to winning by 1 point. If you go for it that extra time, if you maybe say, okay, this is the best time to take a field goal, maybe we go for 2 here. There's a lot of things the analytics are showing that show there's antiquated practices in the NFL. If you look at the numbers, it's much more efficient to do certain things here. And I think this is going to be a huge addition for the Saints for that matter, because this is a team that I think is much upgraded. And with a much upgraded offense and a much upgraded team in general, Nick, you need an upgraded approach to football. And I like how the article talks about Dennis Allen. Maybe Sean Payton really did like analytics, but Dennis Allen wants to take it to the next level, show that he's past Sean Payton. He's his own man. He doesn't always want to live in the shadow of a guy like Sean Payton. So I expect to see Dennis Allen and the Saints come out this season aggressive in the analytic realm. I want to see them going for it on fourth downs. I want to see them doing the things that are tough decisions. You just got to trust the numbers and go for it, because I think this will make this a much better football team.
Well, especially with the talent they have, when you have a Chris Olave, when you have a Michael Thomas, right? You should be more aggressive. When you have playmakers, when you have Alvin Kamara, assuming whatever happens with his suspension or not, we're still kind of waiting on that. They have the playmakers and the talent to be aggressive, and they had it at times last year when they were healthier. I think they need to go back to that formula. And you brought up a great point about Sean Payton, then moving off Sean Payton's analytics guy. I wonder if the old analytics guy kind of relied a lot more on Payton to make a lot of those decisions. Him and Dennis Allen didn't really get along, or I don't want to say get along, but didn't really work well together in those kind of situations. Smart move by the Saints and Dennis Allen to realize a change needed to be made. That's usually the right thing to do in these situations, especially when you have a regime change at the top, going from Peyton to Allen, recognizing that the old relationship that Peyton had with this guy isn't going to work the same as a new relationship. Credit to the Saints to recognizing that and making the change. I think this will be huge for the Saints come this regular season, because you brought up a great point, Miles. These games, NFL, is the difference between winning your division and missing out on the playoffs entirely can come down to just one key scoring opportunity over one game. The Saints were well aware of that last year. Of course, they had that 1-point loss, I think, to the Bucs. If they win that game, the Saints win the division. That's how close it is in the NFL these days, and I think the Saints are going to close that gap and become a playoff team, most likely, in my opinion, this season.